Just left the shipper, and my pusher is down as 60 psi, and my fifth wheel shows 60 psi. It's the same, but I think it's about 17,000 pounds per axle on the drives, maybe slightly less. So I got a pretty heavy load. It's a link belt crane, you know, not an excavator, but link belt crawler crane, so it has tracks. And picked this up at the Ritchie Brothers in Bolton, going to Texas. But because today is Wednesday, Michigan is closed after 12 till Friday morning, and I can start driving Friday morning. But then Indiana, I think, yeah, but then Indiana is closed until Monday morning. So Michigan reopens Friday, Indiana reopens Monday, and I thought of maybe going the opposite way through New York, but Pennsylvania is also closed till Monday, and I don't have any permits yet besides my annual Ontario permit. So I told the guy who hired me, I said, I'll just go home, because he still didn't even set up the customs paperwork, and my permit girl will put the permits in tomorrow. But of course tomorrow all the government offices are closed, but she says it's still better because then you can beat other people in the line, because if you do it like Friday or Monday, then there'll be like 200 people ahead of you, you know. So I'm gonna order tomorrow, and it's already getting late. I spent whole day over there loading this thing. Nobody knows how to operate this, you know. They helped me start it, but this thing is so ancient. Believe it or not, it's 1967. I thought I was dreaming, but I opened the manual, and there was like a letter from the dealer, kind of like, congratulations for buying, you know, link belt crawler crane, and the date said 1967. And then there was a couple of later memos, and one was like 1970, so definitely it's 1970 or older. So I'm guessing 1967 for sure. And everything is so ancient, it's totally different from local, I mean from current machines. And the guy who started it, he couldn't figure out anything besides that, like no controls worked. And then Captain Sergei said, okay, let me try. I never operated it either, but I guess I was more motivated because I needed to leave, you know, because I told the guy who hired me, I said, as soon as the machine on my trailer, I want you to send me a wire transfer for like 30% of the freight rate, because, you know, they're paying me. Never mind, but I just wanted to get a prepayment. And so I was rushing to load this so that he has time to send me a wire, because I was thinking that today is the short day at most banks in the States, right? But I couldn't do it. Like, this thing just doesn't want to steer. I was afraid I would wreck my trailer. And they gave me a phone number of some guy, like a local mechanic who knows these machines. And he was trying to help me on the phone, and you know, just for free. I said, I cannot pay you, you know, if you want I can call the shipper or the freight broker who gave me this load, maybe they can give you some money. He said, oh, don't worry about it. And then just as I was about to give up, because this thing was going all over the place, and I thought if I try to load it, it's gonna damage my trailer, it's gonna damage my raised center, you know, because it goes like this. So I just called this guy again. I said, how do you steer this stupid thing? Like, it has those levers or like an excavator, but it's totally screwed up, you know. And he says, okay, I'm 15 minutes away, I can come over and help you. I said, well, you cannot tell me on the phone, maybe there's some kind of a trick, I'm missing something. And he says, no, I'll come over and I'll help you. He says, basically for free. Like, very nice guy, you know. I guess he knows that a lot of these are, you know, very bad, like, you know, 1967 crane. And so he comes over in a nice shiny Ford F-150 pickup truck, and he starts driving, and he says, just point me. I said, how are you doing this? And it turns out this crane, you cannot use controls when it's in motion. You know, like an excavator, you can drive and you can start turning, right? Turns out this crane, either like that was, I guess that was the technology, but you have to stop and turn and then go. So basically when you go, well, actually in the manual it says how to turn, but you cannot turn and drive, you know. Like, and to me it's so kind of like funny, like how you cannot turn as you're driving. But that was the reason why I couldn't steer, because I was trying to use modern principles which are probably unknown back in 1967. So and so yeah, this guy loaded, and I remember to have some US cash with me. This guy, like, do we have to drive so close to the yellow line? So I gave him 20 bucks US. The guy said, oh, that's good. So he was happy, you know. Now he has some money for beer. And this thing, actually, they removed the boom. The guy says he hired like 2 flatbeds, or even 3 flatbeds. So there's only one short boom on it. Like, there's no, that massive thing is gone. And they took the counterweights and they took something else. And I thought, okay, like, how bad can it be, right? Because when it's fully equipped, I think it's like 100,000 pounds, even more. And this one is what is this? I think it's LS8118 or something. And so I was surprised. I didn't move my fifth wheel. I thought I don't need the pusher, and I started everything, and it's like, uh-oh, that looks very narrow. And my fifth wheel was almost 100 psi, you know. And I went back, I checked my right height control, because sometimes they want to play tricks on me. Like, it folds the opposite way. But it was okay. And so I stopped and I moved the fifth wheel, and I dropped my pusher axle. So I'm thinking this thing is about 85,000 pounds probably. So pretty heavy, even without the counterweight, you know, because it has a very big frame. The worst part. And so yeah, took whole day, and but thanks very much to this guy Brian. Don't know his last name, but I guess he's there like a local mechanic, helps people out. Probably, you know, he can fix something. So I ran into a kind guy today. And so put on my flags, checked out. And now I wanted to go to the scale, but it's already 4:15 p.m. and the sun sets at 4:45. You know, and I'm like 11.5 wide. I cannot drive after dark. And plus that Flying J over there, it's so, you know, so tight. Where I usually go from here, I go to Flying J on Britannia in Mississauga. But it's very small. And so I figured, screw this, I'll just go home. And then maybe I'll start driving Sunday, because I can go to the border. But I don't know if that's a good idea, because I might be sitting there like for 2 days, because the permits will start, like Michigan DOT, for example, will start processing permits Monday, right? And I'm pretty sure they're gonna be overbooked, you know. So I might not see a Michigan permit till Wednesday. So what's the point of sitting sitting at the border over there? I'd rather sit at home with my Ford Mustang. So anyway, we'll figure something out, but I know my approximate weight, because I know this truck and I see it, I look at the gauges. So I think I'm gonna order just 2 states, Michigan and Indiana. Like with my approximate weight, just, you know, go over a little bit, because Michigan is cheap, and Indiana I only do like, you know, 47 miles in there. But then I'm gonna go through Woodstock, Ontario on the way to the border, and there's TA over there, and they have a scale. So I'm gonna scale there and then order the rest of the permits when I know my accurate weight. So that's the plan. It's probably gonna be a very long trip, because first of all, yeah, the paperwork. Oh yeah, and then I need Woodstock. Once again, this machine is dirty, and I told the guy, so I'm gonna show him the receipt. I hope he'll pay me, because there was no agreement. It was all kind of like verbal, like very sketchy, you know. And that's why I needed some prepayment from them, just to make sure that, you know, they're serious about this. But yeah, it feels pretty heavy, this thing. Like I could feel how it accelerates. Yeah, because it's 11.5 wide, I put my outrigger boards on the tracks, and we loaded just a little bit closer to the rear of the trailer than to the front. So if it's not too dark when I'm in Cambridge, I'll do like a walk around. I'll show you what a monster machine this one is, but it's kind of hard to see now because half of the stuff is removed, but it's still an interesting and unusual piece of equipment. So I worked whole day today, and I'm still not done. I'm at a Chinese place called Mr. Dumpling, and I saw the name and I just wanted these dumplings, you know, so bad, you know. But what happened is that at 5 o'clock I was driving past a scale, and I had my rooftop light on. Bad mistake. And of course, as soon as they saw the flashing light, they opened the scale just for me, you know, and a couple of other trucks, but they were not interested in those guys. They pulled me over, and it's 5 o'clock, and the sun set at 4:45, and the sign says park. Okay, I go park, and the guy says, we're gonna do an inspection. And I said, with all due respect, sir, but it's 5 o'clock. I still have 15 minutes to drive, and you're gonna do an inspection now? Like, what am I gonna do after that? And he says, yeah, we're doing an inspection. And he says, oh, by the way, where are you going? I said, Cambridge. And Cambridge was 40 kilometers or 25 miles away. He says, there's no way you're gonna make it in 15 minutes over there anyway. So So he does the inspection, does not find anything, everything is perfect. Captain Sergei fleet is in perfect condition, truck, trailer. He just made a note, he says, clean the tracks of the crane a little bit. And I said, yeah, I know, I'm going to the truck wash in Woodstock, because there's nothing over here. But he just says, just try to get rid of some, dirt, basically, with your hands. I said, yes, sir. And then he gives me a warning, not a ticket, but writes up a warning saying that I cannot drive after dark with such a wide load. And I said, I tried to argue, and that only, pisses them off. I said, you stopped me at 5 o'clock. I was still within my rules. Like, with this load, night rules do not apply till 30 minutes after sunset, which is 5:15. So after 5:15, you need to have 2 amber lights on each side, like extreme points of the load, and you need to have reflective signs, like the oversized load must be not mesh material, but must be reflective. But those rules start after 5:15, right? This guy gives me a warning because he claims I was going to Cambridge and I couldn't make it in 15 minutes over there, but like these guys just, they do whatever they want. And so I tried to say something, and then the other guy says, yeah, you keep talking. So I just shut up, But at least he didn't give me a ticket, he gave me a warning. And I asked him, I said, so do I do anything about this? Do I have to send it somewhere, sign it? He says, no, that's just for your information. So you have to have reflective signs, and you have to have amber lights after dark. And dark is at 5:15, right? And so anyway, the guy made me drop my trailer. And he says, you want to stay here? I said, well, I haven't eaten anything. I only had a cup of coffee at 7 o'clock. I spent a whole day at Ritchie Brothers auction loading, like no BS. And I said, of course I want to go home. But now he wants me to drop the trailer. He does not allow me to drive with the trailer. So he says, so you want to drive to Cambridge? I said, that's 25 miles one way, like just in a truck. I don't want to do that. I'll just go to this nearby Milton, that's where I am, and get some food. And he says, well, then you can come back and just park next to the trailer. And I said, when can I leave? He says, sunrise. So my adventure will continue tomorrow at sunrise, but I only can go home anyway. Like, there's no permits for US, nothing, right? So I have to wait till Monday. So I'm not too upset, and he didn't give me any actual fine or ticket, right? It's just they like writing stuff up, just give you a sheet of paper with notes. So this is the inspection station. I'm back. Let me just quickly show you the crane. It's kind of dark, but there's lights in here, so you should still be able to see something. It's like a big excavator, except instead of a bucket and stuff like that, it has this boom, which was basically partially disassembled, right? And that's the machine. Huge tracks, right? Big house. And I had to lift these kind of sidewalks or walkways because they were sticking out further than the tracks. See over here? And I put a bunch of chains on it. So see, these guys, they checked everything. They liked how I chained it. Didn't say anything. And see, no counterweights. Everything is removed. So I have 8 chains on this. It looks a little bit like a railroad locomotive with that color, So 1967 link belt. So that's what it is. Oh, and also these things were down, so I lift them up and I put a pin in there, so that otherwise they were almost touching the trailer. And I put a bunch of straps on the boom to make sure it doesn't move, so that my timbers stay in place, And yeah, 4 chains in the back, And this thing has a very weird tracks, you know, like they're too thick. You cannot hook up a chain in there, and they look kind of like shallow, so I don't trust them too much. So I just put a chain around it. See that hole over there? So yeah, chaining was all good. Actually, chaining took not that much time. And look at this. Who uses this design, right? It's so old. But that's why they pay us the big bucks for. So, you know. So hopefully, my permit will be issued Monday, Tuesday, and I can start trucking towards South Texas, to my favorite land of burritos. Oh boy, I love that stuff. Like over here we have, over here we have mucho burrito. I like that one. Real kind of like, you know, real Mexican burritos, so good. But which reminds me, now finally it's time for my first food of the day, and the time now is 7:07 p.m. So this is good. I'm gonna be real skinny. But yeah, just, you know, again, you know, guys, don't leave any stupid comments, okay? Because if I wanted to show you like everything smooth and all, like Captain Sergei is sailing and people are rolling out carpets and there's women singing and there's like orchestra and small children wave, then it wouldn't be real stuff, right? So I'm showing you the real thing, what it's like to be a heavy hauler. And what it's like is this. So it's not easy, but it's not too bad either. So you just have to take things with you know, with some humor. And I always try to find some humor in a situation like this. At least the guy did not arrest me, you know, didn't put me in jail for driving 15 minutes before the forbidden time started. Or you would make it to Cambridge in 15 minutes. Like, how do you know? Maybe you have like a booster rocket or something in the back, right? Anyway, that's already, you know, done, right? So at least the guy allowed, I said, I'll keep the gooseneck. Oh, okay. So the guy allowed me to, you know, so I got food, right? So now I'll spend time on the truck. And they have a washroom in here. And he says you can leave at sunrise, which I think is like 6 o'clock or something, 6:30, and that's 401. And the way these guys are going, that's west. Sorry, that's west. Like the truck's closer to me, and that's where I was supposed to go before these guys over here saw my rooftop light and pulled me over for inspection. But it's all good, all good. Okay, now I have my dumplings. I'm telling you, I'm so hungry. The guy looks at me, he says, you sure? Because I got one order of pork dumplings, and which is like 7, I think, and one order of chicken dumplings. It was like 18 bucks Canadian, but I'm pretty sure it's worth it. You know, especially when you're hungry. I don't know, I could eat a piece of rail right now. All right, we'll continue tomorrow. I'll just show you how I'm parking in Cambridge, and that's it. Then I'm shutting down for the Thanksgiving holiday, but in Canada, even though we already celebrated Thanksgiving in October.